Welcome to the Valor Flight Crew podcast, hosted by Echo and brought to you by Vertical Helicasts and Vertical Valor magazine. In this episode, hosts Mike Fadale and Blake Shrider sit down with Jody Gregory, the Echo president, and Joe Zarek, the Echo vice president, to discuss the many intricacies of this community-driven organization that's dedicated to supporting all aspects of public safety aviation. Together, they dive deep into Echo's origin story, the values that drive its mission, and the programs making a real difference. From mental health and peer support to safety initiatives, networking, and education. You'll hear about the Future Flight Crew program, the integration of the Education Committee, and what's on the horizon for Echo, including upcoming conferences and new directions in law enforcement and military aviation. So whether you're a seasoned Echo member, new to the organization, or just thinking about joining, this episode is packed with insight, inspiration, and dedication, and is sure to give you an insider's perspective into an organization that's lifting each other up, literally and figuratively. There's an air met for turbulence because the Echo is definitely getting louder. So buckle up and enjoy this engaging conversation with some of the Echo leadership team. Thank you to our sponsors, Airbus, Spectrum Aeromed, and Technosonic Industries.
Welcome to the Valor Flight Crew podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicasts and Vertical Valor magazine. Produced in partnership with Echo, Every Coast Helicopter Operations, the Valor Flight Crew podcast promotes the personnel and life-saving equipment behind helicopter air ambulance services. Join hosts Mike Fadale and Blake Shrider for in-depth interviews and expert insights from air medical personnel, pilots, communication specialists, and maintenance crews who play critical roles in airborne emergency response.
Line 1 accepting.
Copy, Line 1, gotcha, accepting. You're going to be talking to Red Feather 1 on LCEMS.
Welcome to the Valor Flight Crew podcast. As always, your hosts, Mike Fadale and Blake Shrider. How are you doing today, Blake?
I'm doing good, sir. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. It's been a crazy busy week getting ready for vacation, but I'm ready to get the ball rolling, and we've got a great episode today to discuss with all of you guys.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome today.
So this week we get to speak with some more of our Echo members, specifically the president and vice president of Echo. So Jody Gregory and Joe Zarek, and we're really excited to have some conversations with them. I know you guys have really been huge supporters of Echo throughout the years, and I think it's going to be exciting to have a discussion of where Echo has come from, where we're at now, and where it's going in the future. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Jody Gregory and Joe Zarek. Welcome to the Valor Flight Crew podcast. It's great to have you guys on with us today. If you guys want to just go ahead and give us just a quick, brief introduction of yourselves and tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. My name is Jody Gregory, and I'm currently the president of Echo. I grew up in a public safety family, so I think I kind of was destined to be here. I've been a paramedic for, just restarted NREMT for almost 3 decades now. Crazy as that sounds.
It's amazing how much time flies.
When I did the math, I was like, oh boy, it really has been that long.
It's crazy.
I've pretty much worked in every aspect of pre-hospital, hospital, finally flying as a flight medic with Life Flight of Maine. It was a huge part of my journey. And I don't fly anymore because I transitioned into emergency management, disaster preparedness, where I now focus a lot on mental health, wellness, safety, training, preparedness, and still the liaison for the hospital systems and public safety partners, including aviation. So I get to spend a lot of time actually developing things as far as design, training exercises, and really helping agencies build stronger and be more resilient. I have a certification as a mental health first aid instructor, certified in acute traumatic stress management, crisis intervention, and I have an educational background with an MBA and a Master's of Science in Nonprofit Administration with a focus on disaster preparedness. So I think for me, just stepping out of the aircraft wasn't the end. It was that shift in how I can contribute to everything and really bring those talents to Echo as well.
Oh, that's awesome. And you've been such a huge asset to Echo over the years and have seen it grow in so many different ways. So looking forward to what the future holds. So thank you, Jody. Joe, welcome. If you'd like to give a little introduction of yourself.
Thank you. My name is Joe Zarek. I am the vice president of Echo. I also come from a EMS background. I started as a paramedic. I worked as a ground critical care paramedic for some time before I started flying. Flying was definitely my dream job. Got a lot of good experience working with Superior Ambulance. And before or after that, I got a job at Flight for Life. There's a few of them. So this is the one in Wisconsin, and I worked at the Northern Illinois base. During my time as a flight paramedic, I was still going to school. I was completing my master's, my MBA. So I took advantage of a few different leadership opportunities. I also completed my nursing degree, RN, BSN, and then went back into EMS leadership to apply more of my MBA skills. So that's a little bit about my background.
Well, welcome. We're glad to have both of you guys on.
We always get into this, Mike. We get down the road and then we always forget.
Yes, I'm going to say before you read my mind, I was like, we need to go back and get into the icebreaker here.
So Joe, Jody, I'm sure you guys have seen as we do our podcast, we like a little icebreaker. We like to try to get into, we like to know what people are listening to out there. So on your days, heading into work or getting your day started, we just want to know what makes you tick. Well, so what Joe, what was the last song you were listening to either today or yesterday?
To be honest, I'm just trying to keep up with all of our new flight crew podcasts. So we just moved from North Carolina to South Carolina. So my drive's a little bit longer. So now I get to listen to you guys.
There you go.
Great.
There you go.
Well, hopefully it's been an enjoyable listening adventure for you so far.
Yes.
And so I can certainly go next, Jody, if you're still looking it up there.
Sure. I was just trying to get in and see what actually was playing this morning.
So I'm back in my country mood again, Blake. So this time it was Sunrise, Sunburn, Sunset by Luke Bryan.
Nice.
That was I'm ready for warm weather. And
I was gonna say you're getting ready for your vacation.
I am so ready for my vacation. So I'm ready for the warm weather. I'm ready to get down there. So
well, we'll be happy to have you close by.
Go for it, Jody. Tell us about what you were listening last.
So my last song on the playlist was For Honor by Peyton Parrish. I think I was in a sea shanty mood this morning with Lee for Johnny and several other songs. So that was how I kicked off the morning.
Perfect. Love it.
I was in a little blend mode. I was it's kind of country-ish. I was listening to Shabuzi was coming up on my my playlist. Last of My Kind. It's a pretty good song. So
nice. I like it.
Kind of came on.
Certainly
shuffle.
puts you in the right mood for the day.
That's it.
Even though you're just waking up.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Perfect. Well, let's go ahead and get into some of the discussion that we have here for you guys. And I think we'd just like to first start off with talking about your Echo involvement. So how did you guys end up hearing about Echo way back when, and how did you end up getting involved? And what was it that really drew you to the organization?
I can kick off first. So I was first introduced to Echo back at the Boston conference, which I did a very short stint at. But even then, you could just feel that sense of community and shared purpose. But the Philly conference, good old Philly, was the first time that I truly became involved. I'm going to partially blame Mike for this because that was my age. And
you
Amanda.
didn't have a choice in the matter.
That was truly my introduction to the FAST team, and meeting them during those early days and hearing the vision for just that real peer driven support. It just struck a chord with me and I wanted to be part of it. So it managed to lead me to the deeper involvement, becoming a FAST team member, just deploying, supporting the deployments, helping train the new FAST Academy, answering the line, logistics, all the things involved that you really don't think about. And then this past year, I'm training up with Pierre the Potato, who many people met at the last conference, who's my now certified therapy dog and therapy dog team, one of the peer support dogs that we have several of. And then it just didn't stop. I became the vice president and focused a lot on sponsorship efforts and Rotors for Kids in the early days. And then now I have the privilege of serving as president and get to work with all the incredible teams, with my strongest focus still being on being as a FAST member, safety, law enforcement, military, and education, and just getting to develop that critical role in supporting public safety.
So I'm noticing a trend here, Mike. It seems that pretty much everybody on the Echo board, and I think you've kind of strong-armed pretty much everybody into joining.
I love the mission behind Echo, and I love what it stands for, and it's amazing to find like-minded people who feel the same way and want to get involved and want to make the industry better. So Jody didn't have a choice in the matter, for sure.
Well, Jody, you've got quite the background and the education and experience and knowledge to be in this role, and just seeing from my limited view on the outside for the past 4 or 5 years, and seeing it grow has been incredible. So amazing work. Joe, can you tell us about your how you got involved with Echo? How did Mike strong arm you into Echo?
Listen, you can't blame everything on me, Blake.
My first experience at Echo was also in 2016 in Boston. I think I might have cut Jody off in line for lunch buffet, not knowing who she was. But I thought it was a really neat conference. I went there with a friend that was in, I believe, the first Future Flight Crew cohort, and that was taught by Matt Adams, did a great job. And it was kind of a nuts and bolts concept. We were at a hospital, just you could see the sponsor support, you could see the innovation. And I remember tagging along, and actually that's where I met Mike too. We were sitting in a corner hallway discussing how we could create a peer support program, a peer support team, and with Amanda Rosito as well. So I saw the vision, really liked what I saw. I went back home and I was thinking about it and how I could get involved. So I sent the team a message. I said, hey, let's share this vision. Do you need some help with maybe social media or marketing? And they said, yep, you're it. So that was kind of my first way of getting involved with Echo. I served as the marketing director for quite a few years, working with sponsorships, and we had a lot of great growth and ideas. To be honest, the original premise of Echo was really about, and it still is, about public safety aviation, about bringing together law enforcement and military and HEMS and search and rescue learning. So we had a few different events, and Jody and I, we kind of tag team back and forth. So I transitioned into what was formerly the business director role, just as we were getting going with it becoming a nonprofit. There was more compliance and making sure that the money looked right, which it always did. And in 2018, I became the vice president. So currently I serve as the liaison to marketing, sponsorship, membership. That's all one area with Ashley. Conference planning with Travis and Ashley, AVIT with Steve and Tim, and finance administration with Trish and I.
That's quite the undertaking. It's just amazing. I mean, we're going to get into that more in the podcast, but it's just amazing to see from what you guys are describing in this 2016 into 2017, 18, and then just growing to see where it's at now. What an amazing success that you guys have been able to build from there and bring it to now is truly remarkable.
Thank you.
And I think the other aspect, that can't be said enough is just how much growth this organization has had over the years, and with the importance that has grown out of all of the special teams that come from Echo, to make note that this is all 100% volunteer, and to see the passion and the drive in everyone that is a part of it, and that starts from the top down from you guys, I think really just sets the stage for the entire organization. So you guys have very, very different pathways of necessarily what your focus is within Echo, but together it really kind of brings the whole team under that umbrella. And we're grateful to have you guys here for the discussion and really talk about, where Echo is going in the future, because I think there's a lot of people out there that are excited to see what the next steps are in the industry. So with that being said, before we get into the future of Echo, we wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the history, since I don't think some of our viewers necessarily understand, where we came from and where we're at now, and how much growth has really happened over the years. So Joe, do you want to take this one first and kind of talk a little bit about the history of Echo and how you've seen it change in the time that you've been present?
Absolutely. So this is Echo's 10-year anniversary. Echo really was originally known as East Coast Helicopter Operations. We rebranded in 2018 when we became a nonprofit officially as Every Coast, because we were starting to see involvement just from everywhere across the country. We, in 2016, had Future Flight Crew. Shortly thereafter, we created our FAST program, As we were talking about that corner hallway, Mike and Amanda and
It's
Jody.
literally what it was a gathering in a small corner hallway.
But, that's a special component of Echo is, this was all just started with different ideas. People that came forward and said, hey, why don't we start this, or why don't we try that? Or I think the industry needs this. And we've always been supportive of trial and error. We've got some great teams. So we created safety team as well. In 2018, we were in Chattanooga. Thanks to Life Force, they hosted us. We had a big aviation focus that year. 2019 was a historic year. If we can all remember, everyone knows Camp Echo. And we keep hearing about how much everyone loved Camp Echo. And, before we did Camp Echo, we had our TFO Academy in West Palm Beach. So that was a great beginning few years for law enforcement, military involvement, as well as the HEMS community. We took a little bit of a break in 2020, thanks to COVID. We returned to Sanibel in 2021, hosted by Lee County Sheriff. We had a great event in Sanibel combining law enforcement and search and rescue, military, as well as HEMS. Took a big step. 2022, we went southwest to Austin. We were like, what's it going to be like? Are we going to have a lot of people coming from the East Coast? Had a great turnout. We went further west as we possibly could go, towards Jody's neck of the woods. In 2023, went to San Diego. And post-COVID, we started to see, wow, our costs are really just, going up. And one of our hallmarks at Echo is affordability and value. So we created our own AV team. We made a great investment, thanks to Adam and Steve and Tim. We have our own in-house AV service, and I think that's pretty cool. That started in 2022. 2023, we really wanted to offer our own CEUs. We started down the pathway of CAPC. With that, we created our own education committee. And ever since 2023, our teams have really just started taking off with growth, a lot of volunteers, just like how we all started. We all started at a conference. They saw what we were about. They wanted to get involved. And each of our teams have grown ever since. So actually, all of our teams have directors and co-directors. So we now, last year and this year, really focused on our law enforcement and military growth. And obviously you guys with our podcast. So that's new and exciting this year as well. And thank you guys. It's a great partnership with Vertical Valor. They really saw the mission with what we were doing. They wanted to get involved, and we partnered to create this podcast. So it's been a really exciting journey.
Yeah, it's been, Joe, thank you for really giving us that history lesson. I think it's really important that, for a lot of our listeners that are maybe new to, kind of just come to the past couple of conferences and starting to grow, to really kind of hear how it all really started, kind of almost that like grassroots, like, hey, we've got these good ideas. And then as you're connecting with people and just seeing it continue to grow to what it is today is truly incredible. And what I've always heard from the first day of my involvement was some of these core values that Echo really puts out there. So Jody, I'll throw it over to you. Can you just kind of explain a little bit about those core values and how Echo maintains that and continues to do that to this day?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Blake. At Echo Heliabs, our core values really are rooted in that fact that we're a 100% volunteer organization. We're made entirely up of people who live and breathe this work. And everyone is involved. They've flown, currently fly, support from the ground up, whether that's through aircraft maintenance, comms, or any of the many roles that the team missions are able to be kept ready from. And we also have those who are actively on the path to earning their wings with our FFC. We're truly and stand behind the idea of being for flight crews by flight crews. And we've just taken to being built on the three key pillars of safety, high quality, low cost education, and mental wellness. And really, we just want to drive that mission to improve the industry from the inside out by encouraging every voice to be heard, and then just fostering that culture where it takes truly the old adage of 3 to say go, but only 1 to say no. Safety shouldn't just be made by a decision by one person. Safety, it's not just a priority. It's our foundation for us. And we're proud of, as we grow, we really stay grounded in that, and then supporting one another, sharing that knowledge, and then making sure that no one in the profession ever feels like they're going it alone. In the end, it's simple. We just want everyone to excel in their career, make that difference that they've always wanted to make. And then most importantly, we want everyone to come home at the end of the day.
Thank you to our sponsor, Spectrum Aeromed. Spectrum Aeromed is your trusted partner in aeromedical solutions. Experience safety and innovation with their customized interiors, designed for both rotor and fixed-wing aircraft. Elevate your patient care with Spectrum Aeromed. For more information, visit spectrum-aeromed.com.
Yeah, I think, talking about through some of the Echo core values, it's always been amazing to me to see, from where Echo started, and I got involved in 2015. And obviously things are much smaller. The conference was maybe 50 people at that point in time, but I was just still so impressed with the mission and the vision of what Echo is, and that open knowledge sharing and just making the industry better in all kinds of topics. And I was blown away by the education, even on, such a small scale conference to go to. I walked away from there feeling like I gained, more from that weekend that I was there than I have at a lot of other trainings that I've gone to. And I just really appreciated what Echo kind of stood for. And then you see this growth that has happened over the years. And what amazes me is how much it still feels like a family, and how much every year I go to, and it just feels like a reunion. And granted, I've gotten, the opportunity to meet so many amazing people in the industry through my involvement with Echo. But it floors me how, the core values are still 100% rock solid. And the core values are still what drives everything within the organization, and trying to make it better and to do it in the most affordable way. And, hats off to you guys for maintaining those standards for such a long time, because I feel like that's often a difficult challenge for a lot of companies or businesses or, things like that as they start to grow, that you notice all of those changes. And it's hard to maintain those original core values. But, I feel like Echo truly has been able to do that.
I feel like you guys, Joe, Jody, you guys practice exactly what you preach. We've all been in this business for some time now, and we've heard those adages like, we eat our young, like the different professions that do that, right? They're like, we got to be tough and hard, and you either have it or you don't, and I think that you guys have really shown through this organization, and including all the aspects of aviation, right? So search rescue, police, military, and HEMS, like you guys have brought everybody together to where when we meet at these conferences, like we are able to take little parts from each aspect and make it better and bring it home to where we're practicing in our communities. And we're not doing that eat our young, we're fostering such a good culture and foundation. And I think that you guys are truly doing that by your everyday work. You practice exactly what you preach. And I think that's amazing. Thank you.
Thanks.
So we've kind of talked about, coming to conferences and some of the teams that we have, but in order to be, part of seeing some of the social media on Facebook, or in order to come to a conference, you have to have an Echo membership, right? Just wondering if you can kind of describe to our listeners a little bit about, like, what does having an Echo membership mean, or what kind of benefits does that provide for somebody who wants to be, part of this amazing organization, if you will?
We have active membership of, as of this morning, 6,100
awesome.
Active members.
That's amazing.
We're very lucky to have that growth. But our membership is free. We know there's a lot of different great organizations, industry associations that people are part of. And it's been a premise since our start that we do not charge a membership fee. So we're free. That being said, a lot of people get a lot of different things out of Echo. Some people really like Echo because of fast resources or safety, or they think of Echo as, I come to the conference once a year. Or for law enforcement, they come to our workshop. we're one organization. We have a lot to offer, and we're year-round. So we have, for membership, all of our resources on the website, they're free. We're growing digitally with our mobile app. All that content is behind a membership wall. Once you sign up for a free membership, you get access to our content as well as our newsletters. We have our Coast to Coast newsletter that Ashley works very hard on, but she gets information from each of our different teams so that we can bundle it up and share new offerings, quarterly resources with safety, Fast Five for our FAST team, mental health, peer support, all that stuff we continue year round. We have our CEUs that we offer in partnership with ASNA for nurses, and we offer our own CAPC CEUs for our paramedics. And most importantly, with Echo, this was kind of what was really intriguing for me, is just networking. We have a lot of social media platforms, different groups, different focus groups, and we're going to continue doing that through our mobile app as well as social media platforms this year. But people can come, make friends, ask questions. Our sponsors love to get involved as well with this networking. So anytime you need to reach out to somebody or make a friend, you can definitely come to Echo and use any of our networking channels.
I think that's been so cool to see, at least from my perspective, just how much everyone does actually appreciate and enjoy and work well together. And when you bring everybody together at these conferences, it's not about, anything but bringing the entire industry in one place and sitting down and having, these crucial conversations and being able to break down those walls and those barriers and really have a stronger, safer team that's able to complete this amazing mission. And I think that Echo has done a great job of really being able to break that down. And I think just the networking alone, I can't tell you how many times somebody's been like, "Hey, I'm moving to such and such an area. I'd really like to get into a flight job. Do you know anybody in that particular area?" And it's like, as a matter of fact, I do. Let me just go ahead and reach out and just much. The connections literally across the entire country and now internationally for Echo as well is like, it's insane to me how much this being involved with this organization has really changed my passion and drive and involvement and engagement within the industry over such a short time.
It's been amazing to see, like you said, just like that networking take off. And I think for us too, like when we talk about the different teams and, Jody, when you guys were really helping and getting the education team, for one, I think the networking alone was like, okay, so we need some other help. We need some medical directors or who else is involved in teaching, and just what a flood and amount of resources to have to be able to maintain, especially these CEs for nurses and paramedics. So like you said, the membership is free. You get access when you come to the conference to get these CEs. So that's just a one example of how the different teams really allow you to stay connected and help Echo get that to the members out there. So Jody, what else can you add to that as far as like some of the other teams and how they're able to help the community and the members?
Our teams have been so fortunate. And as Mike mentioned, the fact that, there's that reach out and find somebody from anywhere across the industry. And really, I've heard that with law enforcement as well, where whether it be they're transferring someone to another facility or coming from the East Coast, I've worked a lot more with the law enforcement side over on the East Coast. They've had, so much damage with natural disasters and really having to be just on 24/7, literally the aircraft stopping long enough just to fuel and have a quick maintenance check, that they're able to get parts and they're able to get other things and reach out to other agencies and kind of borrow those things, borrow some knowledge and create much more of an interagency feel instead of staying siloed like that. So I think, it's gone beyond our highest hopes with just getting beyond HEMS and actually being able to connect some of those other agencies, such as law enforcement.
I think that and the other part too with teams, and like you said, some of that core foundation, the mental health and peer support has just really taken such a spotlight over the past couple of years, and rightfully so. And, along that way, we've all had to go through tragedies and hardships and things. But I think that what I've seen that being a part of Echo has truly helped myself with mental health and being able to acknowledge it and not feel like there's a burden or anything. And I feel that part of those teams, knowing that those resources and help, and we've kind of, Echo particularly has really pushed removing that stigma, right? And removing that shadow of like, no, you can't really say anything because you're not going to be fit for flight. And I think that you guys have been great about highlighting that. Joe, can you expand on that a little bit more? How you guys have been able to really get involved, part of the mental health and that peer support aspect as part of those teams?
Yeah. So early in the beginning, 2017, 2018 timeframe, the FAST peer support team decided they were going to create a 24/7, 365 hotline. We've maintained that hotline. We actually have 3 active teams that rotate on call. There's redundancy built in with our hotline. So when you call that line, somebody is going to answer. And it doesn't stop there. We will take in the initial call, and we do follow up with our people that need support to check in and make sure that they're doing well. And we provide additional resources if it's above and beyond the role of peer support. With those teams, we also have deployable resources, and we've gone on as a FAST team a few deployments since creation for catastrophic, tragic events. So the FAST team has definitely built in a team to answer the call whenever needed, and we're always looking to build and grow. And Mike, wears another hat, developing our FAST team members at the FAST Academy. But Jody will probably get into that a little bit more. She acts as a liaison to the FAST team when we get into some of the different teams.
Yeah, and I think, Jody, if you wanted to kind of expand upon that, I know that mental health and resiliency and taking care of yourself and your team is a huge passion of yours. So I'm just wondering if you can kind of tell us a little bit more about some of the intricacies of being part of FAST.
Sure. Yeah, FAST is, as you know, our flight crew assistance and support team, and we have our board liaison, Amanda and MB and Richie, all direct and co-direct that. And it's really it provides that level of peer support for Public Safety Aviation Committee built by those who live the job every day. There's lots of resources out there from healthcare that provide you standardized, whether it be CISD or EAP, that are very valuable resources. But what we recognized is having that driven by those who truly live the job really helps with that connection and helps remove that stigma that was mentioned. And everyone involved in FAST has just had that opportunity to currently fly, or support again, flight aviation operations from the ground up. It doesn't mean that you have to physically be in the air. It can be maintenance, communications. They're a huge part of the team. Any of those other many roles that happen to keep everything mission ready. Plus, we have our therapy dogs now. We have Jolene and Maddie, who are handled by MB, who's one of our co-directors. And we're very thankful for Creature Comfort Pet Therapy, who provides their insurance. And then Pierre, my little guy, who's from Alliance of Therapy Dogs. So we try to we know how much we all love dogs. We try to bring that addedness to the conferences, to our debriefs, and, just who doesn't love warm and fuzzy excitement. And then we offer that real peer-to-peer support, the outreach, and just that crisis response, so that no one has to feel like they're facing the stress alone or they're talking to somebody who just doesn't get it. We get it.
I think that's one of the coolest things that the team does offer as far as being part of FAST. As I think as we've seen the stigma start to evolve over the past couple of years, and you've started to see that stigma go by the wayside, and people understanding that we need to take better care of each other and of ourselves. You've started to see a lot more, internal peer support teams that have been built within certain agencies, and I think that those are a great resource. I like to look at mental health and resiliency. It's not a competition here. I don't care where you get your help from, as long as you get your help and whatever works best for you. But I think that that's where FAST really excels, as being that outside anonymous source that you don't have to you don't have to look at this person the next day and worry about, like, are they thinking about what I told them last night? Are they going to be telling anybody else? What are they going to think of me as a provider? Those kind of things. You have that outside anonymous person to be able to have those discussions with. And I think that, there are certainly very prominent reasons for an organization to have an internal peer support team. But I think that external resource is also something that is undeniably healthy for the individuals within that organization as well. And I'm so glad that there is that, national resource available for all of our professionals within the flight industry, because I think it's something that's so important, and it's got to be whatever works for you. And if it works for you, then rock on. And when you're ready to come, volunteer with the team, let us know so that we can get more people trained up. And it's been a huge, it's been a huge venture. So I gotta put the plug in there somewhere, Blake. But
hey, you know what, we need it. I don't think you could really ever have too much help when it comes to supporting mental health and people.
Yeah, for sure.
Whatever it is, and they need to just vent or offload. And I think that without the Echo's board and principal values of truly supporting that, it wouldn't be possible. And watching other agencies, whether it be expanding into some people that are still in the military, but they still have civilian roles, and learning that. And like you said, Mike, there's other teams that are being formed within agencies, law enforcement, search and rescue, for places where, maybe it was looked down upon, and then just maybe the way it was. And I think that having those barriers being broken down has just been a true testament to the formation of these teams that Echo truly supports, to get that message out there, which I think is incredible. Seeing all these teams grow, like I said, can never have too much help. I think that
takes a village.
It really does. But I think that with Echo having the app, the website, just ways that you can get involved, just so our listeners know they can easily reach out if they want to be a part of something, right? And really throw your name out there, and Mike will give you a call.
I promise I won't strong arm everybody, but no, FAST has been, certainly a passion for a number of years now. And I think part of what kind of grew from FAST was looking at more of the proactive side of things, right? And part of what goes along with that is really enhancing everyone's overall safety from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering, Jody, if you can kind of talk a little bit about the safety team and its inception and where that's at right now.
Absolutely. Safety for us is we have our board liaison, Veronica Marzoni, and then Crystal Todd and Joe Lebrecht have stepped up to co-direct that. And it's really much like FAST. It's made up of a group of professionals, pilots, flight crews, communications, maintenance, and more. And it's made up across aviation. It's not just HEMS. It's not just law enforcement or military. We really have that accumulation of covering all the areas. And they're just committed to that culture of safety. We now have our safety brief, which came out, which is super exciting. And
Yes.
It really has been gaining some traction. Love the topics they come up with.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And they're really just working on, thorough education, honest conversations, those conversations that you may not want to have, but truly to have that attitude of the 3 to say go, 1 to say no, or ever many are on your team. They're working on having those honest conversations and normalizing it, much like we're normalizing mental health. And the collaboration and the team really works hard to break down those silos, promote an integrated operation, and then and ultimately ensure that everyone goes home safe after every shift. And they're going to start working on some more accessible trainings. They're hoping to get up a private safety officer blog to have some conversations. It's a role that very often someone's just kind of popped into place without any real where to go back and say, help, how do I do this?
Right.
So how can we create that broader outreach within the community and really allow that ownership to be taken by each individual?
I think safety is also really neat with the composition of the team. We have a really diverse background with our safety team, including pilots and people from the military. It's not just a HEMS team, and they're sharing best practices from their own personal work and backgrounds. And I think it's a really neat thing that we're seeing come out of safety right now.
Absolutely, it is. And so needed as well. I think it's just those daily reminders that every time we walk out the door, that needs to be at the forefront of everything that we do. And I think having that safety team promoting that and doing it in a way that really makes it enjoyable and interactive for all team members is certainly going to be a huge success. I'm looking forward to seeing, what kind of things they push out in the future, because I think they have some amazing people on the team who are so safety oriented that you can see the passion and the drive in them for not just helping their own organizations, but literally helping the entire industry. So I was wondering if you guys can go in and just talk briefly about some of the other teams. I know, Joe, you've been involved with Future Flight Crew, as well as, initiating and overseeing the AV and IT team and conference planning, as well as marketing. If you can kind of talk about some of those as well.
Thanks to our sponsor, Airbus. Airbus provides the most efficient helicopter solutions to its customers who serve, protect, and save lives and safely carry passengers in demanding environments. Its civil and military helicopters are flying all over the world, making missions possible. Visit airbus.com for more information.
Our Future Flight Crew program has some new exciting things this year, 2025, big anniversary. The program's graduated over 160 Future Flight Crew members. We have currently an 85% job placement rate with graduates from that program. Our graduates represent half the country now, representing over 25 different states. That team's led by John Hamilton and Mike Cohen, and Patricia Dudley is our board liaison for the Future Flight Crew program. It's a 20-week program. They usually graduate at the annual Public Safety Aviation Conference. They meet weekly. They have different modules. Mike, and you're smiling because you were involved with this as well.
Well, this is Blake's baby over here.
And Blake as well. So I hope I'm doing it justice.
Oh, you are. You just gave me a little anxiety because I know I have a a lot of work to do.
You guys have
in the next 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys have assignments to prepare. They focus on different modules each week. They spend a lot of time on safety and operations and have a peer support. So they very well-rounded program. They have a mentoring opportunity, a ride-along opportunity. When they come to the conference, they have their own dedicated workshops with different instructors, simulation labs, so that they're really confident, prepared when they put in that application, they're ready to take flight. Because we know the first few months, year, when you get that flight job, you've been a paramedic or a nurse, but it's a different environment.
Very overwhelming.
Very overwhelming. So the team does a really great job building it. New this year, we will be introducing our Future Flight Leaders program. Stay tuned. That will be taking the next evolution of the program and developing future flight education preceptors and education leadership. So more to come on that.
Yeah, we got to talk a fair amount with the FFC team when we had them on a couple of weeks ago, and really exciting stuff coming down the pike for FFC. So I'm sure Blake will be able to keep us up to date all along the process.
Did I cover it well enough, Blake?
Oh, absolutely, for sure. And I think what's amazing is I think it's so cool to see how everything just ties in.
Yeah.
Right. So when we talk about the networking and we talk about pillaring safety and mental health, and we talk about all these things, and then you sign up. Okay. So you've been an Echo member. And so you're like, let me throw my name out there. Let me see if I can go for this Future Flight Crew. Then you get it. Right. And so then you go through the 20-week program, and then you culminate at the conference, and then just to see how everything ties in for the students, especially for the Future Flight Crew. 85% job placement rate is huge. And to see it be coast to coast, and we see so many people, and I love, I have to admit, I'm back on social media now, much to my reluctance, but I love seeing now, just seeing everybody that's been through, and just seeing everybody's posts on their pictures next to their aircraft, just get the job done. And I think what's truly, again, just ties everything in for the Echo's core values, that being a part of this organization is just truly putting out some amazing people out there that truly care and have this spirit within, and they take it to the patient's bedside, and I think it's culminating, and I think we are living that mission every day. And I think it's great. Thanks to you guys.
So kind of tailing off of everything combining and really, being intertwined within Echo, one of our newer committees that has really started to oversee a bunch of different aspects of ECHO has been the education committee. Joe, do you want to take a moment just to talk about like what that all entails and what kind of things they're involved in?
Our education committee, we created to standardize our education. We have a lot of great content that comes out of each of our teams, but we wanted to make sure that it flowed. It was standardized. Also, in terms of CEU accreditation through CAPC, we wanted to make sure that all of our content was vetted by the committee, which includes our medical director. So our committee is composed of members from safety, FAST, future flight crew, marketing, AVIT, our medical director, law enforcement, and military as needed for their content. That committee is led by Jonathan Kroll and Christian Greengrass, and Jody's the official liaison for education, but we're all very involved because it's a pillar of ECHO is education. So the committee also conducts a membership needs assessment each year. So all of the post-event surveys, that goes to our education committee to see what we can do better, what we can offer, new and exciting things, what we need more of, what we might need less of. So education committee has really picked up over the last year. We're looking for new members that have an education background or really like to get involved. So if you're interested, we definitely have space available on that education committee. And our podcast also rolls up under education. So we're putting out content. It could be HEMS, it could be safety, it could be peer support. However that gets shared, all rolls up through education.
I think it's a huge testament to making sure the product that's being put out there is truly vetted. And I just seeing each year, Mike, you remember when Austin, I think when we were really putting together all the stuff for FFC, right? So putting together the presentations and really seeing everybody's knowledge get put out there. And then now with the committee, they have done such an incredible job to allow the education content to be streamlined. It's very uniform, and it's, Joe, like you said, it's vetted, and it just shows the commitment to getting all the members something incredibly useful to make their job really, really nice and just really applicable to their everyday care. I think is amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of great work that all the teams are doing, and I think all of that tends to culminate at conferences and through the relationships that ECHO has been able to build with our sponsors, because really without our sponsors, we wouldn't be able to provide ECHO. So if you guys want to just kind of take a moment, I mean, I think talking about the conference itself, we've got a lot of great things coming down the pike, but just about the conference committee and how our marketing team is really so integrated into all of the other things that we've already discussed because of how intertwined ECHO tends to be at the end of the day.
Our conference planning process is really a year-round process. We put out RFPs for different sites across the country, and we narrow it down. Last year, we had 500 RFPs go out. We narrowed it down to about 5 sites to choose from, and we're really excited to choose the Galt House in Louisville for this upcoming conference. We have a lot of things that go into our conferences between proximity to the airports, social event venues, the educational space. We have 50 different sessions this year and 2 full days jam-packed of workshops. So conference planning is
underway.
Busy. It's well underway and it's busy. That is led up by Travis Mason. He does a great job with conference planning, as well as Ashley Chitty and our new Ashley that you met last year. The 3 of them have been working really hard on conference planning. So conference planning deals with our site selection, our social events, anything offsite. So if we need to do Hewitt training or we need a pool offsite, that all event logistics goes through there. AVIT tags along throughout the year. They're dealing with software and making sure ECHO, all the behind the scenes work. At our conference, there are IT people. So they go to our site visits. Steve and Tim do a phenomenal job with AV, making sure it looks professional. They're always tinkering and Your family rooms are always filled with AV equipment.
And we love them for it.
Yes, thank
we
you
love them
for
and-
donating your garages to allow
Yes.
for all this stuff to
Yes.
accumulate.
So conference planning is very special at Echo as we incorporate law enforcement and military. And this year we'll see the return of the Run to the Chopper 5K. So we're currently planning the route for that around Louisville, and that's exciting as well. So marketing with our two Ashleys, they keep it rolling with talking with our sponsors, keeping our corporate partners engaged. They're pivotal to Echo's ability to keep our costs down for our members with registration costs. They do a great job with social media and different fun events around the holidays. They keep our Echo swag fresh and cool, and I think we all have a ton of swag.
Yes, we
I was
do.
going to say, right? Woo.
Love it.
And they do a great job pulling together our Coast to Coast newsletter. New this year, we just rolled out, and it kind of comes back to our peer support and mental health as our Flight Crew Chronicles. So we're really looking to share and engage with members that are trying something new or different that's working at their bases to share with the rest of the industry. So this episode of our last Coast to Coast was Michelle Klein. She did a great job sharing with us what she's doing at her program to improve mental health and well-being. So Ashley does a phenomenal job with marketing, and we're always looking for help there as well.
Yeah. And again, just all of these teams together, it just always continues to amaze me. But wait, there's more because there are still other aspects of Echo that we kind of really haven't touched upon, and then are really being built back up again. And I was wondering, Jody, if you can take just a moment to kind of talk about the LE and military tracks of Echo and where that's going.
Yes, I'm super excited to talk about those. And it's a good lead in from FAST and the 5K and safety, because we do have one of our co-directors of military is Dan Gillis, who, much like myself, likes to participate in all the various groups. So he is Dan Gillis and Justin Zillier are our military team co-directors. And it's just a team that we've really started to develop more and more over the last couple of years, and want to bring all current service members, veterans, anyone from just across the various branches of the military, and bring them together and figure out what can we do to make the participation better? How can we continue to grow that within Echo? So our team is currently focused on expanding conference involvement, really creating that military-focused networking opportunity, and then sharing the valuable expertise on topics, risk management, leadership, crew resource management. And you'll notice with all of those aren't specific to military. That's
Right.
advice that we can take from military, and we can bring that out into the entire organization, into the entire realm of public safety. And we just want to share that expertise. And then we also want to find a way to try to help aim to support transitions from military to those civilian careers. And how many pilots have you had who their previous background was military background, and now they're flying LE, they're flying HEMS? So really helping them with that transition process, and then working to strengthen collaboration with the law enforcement as well as FAST and safety teams, and bridging those gaps and sharing those lessons. And how can we truly benefit that whole aviation community?
No, as I say, I think you guys have just done such an incredible job bringing that aspect into everybody's everyday practice. And, and Jody, I'll throw it back to you on this. So noticing that we have, so many veterans, and we have people that are people that transition out of the military and they want to come into the civilian world, but still do something that they love, something that they've done for many years. So they try to find that way. And if they're like, well, how do I do that? So with that being said, those teams, especially with that military transition, how have you seen such an uptick with it growing and impacting this public safety aviation community, getting people to transition from those military roles into the civilian world? Have we seen an uptick in that just by forming this group and that liaison?
We've definitely had lots of conversations about it. The military group was really just kind of reformed a few months back. And so we're really starting to dig further into that, and not to give away too much, but may very well come up at the conference as a roundtable opportunity to really have some conversation. And we don't want to just create a program or provide direction that isn't exactly where the industry wants it to go. So we want that feedback. We want people to come to the conference. We want people to tell us, it's not about necessarily, here's what we think we should do for you. We want to really take that opportunity to say, what can we do for you? What do you need from us? And how can we make that process better? So it's really still in kind of the infancy stages of it, but we really want to figure out how we can grow that, develop it, and provide another valuable resource, much like we've done with our future flight leaders and our FFC. How can we really bring that home?
It's certainly going to be an undertaking. I think that, having that core military group has certainly been a challenge over some of the years as far as being able to get that ball rolling. And I love that we're going to have more of those discussions and really figuring out how we can integrate the military side of things into the overall Echo umbrella and make them as part of the family. So I'm certainly excited to see what comes from all of that.
And it's been a really great opportunity with our law enforcement team, which we now have John Gray, who many of you know, and we have
Who's
Andrew
he?
Beatty.
Does anybody know John?
And there's been a great opportunity for the law enforcement team that they're working on building, and more to come a little bit later in the podcast, I think, as I'm super excited to talk about one of our additions to this year's conference, but I'll save it. But our law enforcement team really is working on connecting and supporting law enforcement and aviation through our targeted training, networking, much like, I spoke about earlier during disasters and things where LE agencies are realizing like, hey, look, Echo in this networking, hey, that's kind of cool. We can actually talk outside of our own agency. So I think it's really that opportunity, and then to bring a new course to the aviation conference this year. But they just really also, they're, right in line with wanting to strengthen that mission, safety, fast, build that collaboration. So I think it's really fun to see law enforcement and military and the way they're intertwining with safety and fast and really wanting to engage that. And now we're kind of pulling our education side into it as well. So I think you're going to see lots of great things over the coming years from these two teams.
Yeah, it's been great getting to know John and Andrew. They have some great ideas for the LE track, and I can't wait to see where they take things. And John's been such a huge supporter for Blake and I. You may have heard him before on the Hangar Z podcast. John has been a huge mentor for Blake and I as we've been going through starting up this podcast for you guys. And it's been awesome working with all of them. So can't wait to see what the future holds there for sure.
I think it shows, just the impact that Echo is having for everybody, whatever track you're on, Echo has a hand in, and then also really bringing everybody together. I know it's been super impactful for me. Just in the past few years, I have grown just within myself, so much, and it means a lot to me. So Joe, I'll ask you, can you tell us and our listeners a little bit, how has Echo kind of really impacted you? Not only workload, but, just truly within over the years, you've had such a track of involvement here. Can you tell us a little bit about how it's just truly, or a way that it's truly impacted you?
Thank you to our sponsor, Technisonic Communications. Technisonic Communications is a proud provider of the critical airborne communications equipment utilized every day on every mission. Law enforcement, EMS, forestry, federal and military operators all trust their communications to Technisonic. Visit TIL.ca to learn how Technisonic can support your mission communications.
I think for me, it's the way we engage with members and the way that we support when needed. We've done a lot of fundraiser for a cause campaigns through social media, a lot of shirt drives. We've created our Safe on Deck program, which is there for any type of natural disaster, catastrophe, where our flight crew lose their homes. And we've activated that actually as we were walking out of our last conference last year to support what was going on in North Carolina. So I'd really like to see when people come together and are able to support flight crew around the country. I like the premise of what our FAST team does. When we talk to different people at conferences and just in passing, they talk about how Echo has been able to support them when they needed it. And that's really an important premise of a nonprofit organization. I really am just so engaged and energized with our volunteers, because we just keep coming up with how can we support differently? How can we support more? And that's just exciting to be part of a team that is just so engaged.
It's a true testament to how much work is really done behind the scenes, and it really highlights the year-round commitment and work. And it's, when it's truly volunteer, you really know that it's done from the heart. And I think that's what truly makes this organization just continue to run and have those impacts across the communities. I think is incredible.
Yeah, for sure. And completely in agreement there, Blake. I think it's just amazing to see the passion behind all of it for every single person that's involved in Echo, and not just the people that are involved, but the people that come to the conferences, and they can just, tangibly feel how much passion is in each and every one of the people that are making it possible. And so I think that's contagious. And I think that spreads across the entire industry. And I think it will continue to spread across the entire industry. I guess we'll throw the same question to you then, Jody. How has, being part of this organization impacted you over the years?
I mean, I think everyone's covered the biggest highlights and points, but I really just think it's impacted me a lot by connecting me with people who genuinely care, people who are working hard to just make the industry better. And for the broader public safety aviation committee, I just think Echo has really created a more unified, resilient, and supportive culture that was much needed. And it's just one where no matter your role, background, the color of your flight suit, your badge, you have a place with Echo. And you have that support. And I think really just getting that out there and people knowing that they're not alone is really the biggest impact.
It feels like a home,
Yeah.
that we can pick up the phone and just be like, hey, you got a second? And that may be something that all we need. And I think that's like just that great true testament that we can just reach out, have a quick chat. It could be about anything and everything, just something. And sometimes it's that little reset, maybe that you just need to kind of be like, I'm doing okay, or like, we're doing some good work. And I think that's what's, to me, that's like my biggest, like, just draw and continued support for this organization is it just feels like home for me.
So I guess the big question then is now, Echo's done so much over the years, right? And Echo has grown so much over the years and really tries to give as much back to public safety aviation community as possible. What's next? Where do we go from here? How do we make it even bigger and better than what it already is?
I think there's so many things at this point that are exciting on the horizon for Echo, and just across our teams, we're just continuing to focus on what we believe matters most. And that's back to our pillars of just education, peer support, safety, and that interagency collaboration. So now I actually get to talk about the LE coming up with the launch of our Airborne Tactical Solutions class. It's a brand new course at this year's Echo conference. It's 16 plus hours of just immersive training specifically for law enforcement aviation, designed for patrol officers, tactical flight officers, K9 handlers, SWATs, air crew, you name it. Come enjoy it. It covers everything from perimeter containment and thermal imagery to vehicle pursuits, officer down responses. And we're just so excited and so lucky because we have two of the best in the business with Jack Shinley and Clay Lacey leading it. So that's probably the biggest thing on the horizon for law enforcement.
That's awesome. Can't wait to see what that looks like.
I know.
And
I'm not even law enforcement, and I kind of want to check that out.
Right.
That sounds super awesome.
We're so excited. John and Andrew have done a great job at kind of pulling that together, and can't wait to see how it turns out. On the FAST side, we're continuing to grow our peer support program. We just kicked off our newest FAST Academy class, and that's always super exciting to add more members and just see that program develop. We're working on deployment readiness. Joe had mentioned earlier our Safe on Deck initiative. We have our therapy dog outreach, again, which MB and Maddie and Jolene and myself and Pierre, and big shout outs there with our Alliance of Therapy Dogs and Creature Comfort Pet Therapy, providing that insurance for us so that we can go out and do these deployments. And really this year, the focus is going to be for FAST is expanding on the reach beyond HEMS and trying to assist more as we can with law enforcement, military, or search and rescue, and just help bridge some of that gap.
I think that's a huge gap that's needed to be filled for a while. And I think it's amazing that you guys have really put it out there for that undertaking. I think you guys are doing a great job. I'm really anxious to see the traction that it gets, especially, being highlighted and really taking off at this conference this year. It'd be really interesting to see where this goes for them.
Yeah, and I think it's a fun opportunity because then on top of that and bridging those gaps, we have safety. And I mentioned a little bit earlier that they're working on launching that private blog space where the safety officers, they can come from across the industry, from all aspects of aviation, and have honest, judge-free conversations in a private, secure manner, so that we're have those. Don't go that struggle alone. Be able to have that openness of conversation and help make the industry better. So, we're also working on developing some low or no cost education for frontline safety officers. Hopefully we can create some sort of program, much like our future flight leaders, things like this, where we're addressing that need, that where is that actual education and process for safety officers? And, there may not be that funding or flexibility. So we're hoping we can also increase our community engagement, maybe get back to safety stand downs and those cross-discipline integrations where we can really bring everyone together.
Yeah, it's fantastic stuff. And I think that there's certainly a lot of exciting things that are on the horizon. I know I'm amazed every single year coming to the conferences or seeing the work that's put in throughout the year, just all the new ideas and insight and community building that we do from Echo. And I think there's just such amazing volunteers with such passion behind it that, to see the outcome of where these ideas, they started off as this little, twinkle in somebody's eye, and all of a sudden it becomes this huge, project and really changes things for the better in the industry. And it's so great to see that continuation year after year.
And I have one more fun tidbit that's kind of conference related, which is military. They're really gaining momentum, as we mentioned, and this year's conference is going to feature 7 sessions at least, led by active military members on topics like NVGs, fatigue management, again, CRM, leadership, topics that really are not just relevant to military. So I think it's going to start to bridge that gap a lot more. And then we're working on, stay tuned for more, but we're working on dedicated network opportunities for service members, and then exploring that idea of a very fun joint military law enforcement, all welcome, but kind of sponsored by them, fly-in / training events, much like we started to do last year at in Richmond. So exciting there. We're really going to break down those silos this year. We're really going to support all the sectors and create those spaces where everyone's learning from each other and growing together and really recognizing they're not alone.
I can already tell how difficult of a choice it's going to be for me to figure out which session I'm going to go to at the conference.
Oh, there's so much to choose from. I'm super excited for it. I'm mildly intimidated. There's a 5K. I support the cause. I'm mildly
all right, Blake, we'll walk it together. It'll be fine.
Okay, perfect. As long as I don't have to run it the whole time, right? As long as I just get through it, I think. I've never done a 5K, so I don't know, man.
Run, walk, crawl.
It'll be crawling. I guarantee you at the end of that, I would give it
3.2 miles. I mean, it sounds smaller than 5K. That sounds a little less intimidating, right?
Okay, I could put it that way. All right, not too bad, right? I'll start now. I'll train a little bit for it, Mike. We'll do that. We'll get through it.
Perfect. I can't really run anymore unless it's the refrigerator. So
right, exactly.
I'll do the best I can, but
12-ounce curls.
Yes, exactly.
There always needs to be a closer. Podcast can be the closer for the crunch.
Excellent. We'll interview everybody as they come across the finish line.
Oh man,
all hot and bothered and out of breath. So thank you, Jody, for sharing all of that stuff with us. I know, Joe, you kind of talked a little bit about some of the teams that you're supporting and what's on the horizon for them. Are there any other big things on the horizon for the teams that you've been supporting and where they're going in the future?
So this year we saw a record number of submissions for speaking at our conference, and the quality of the submissions were just excellent across the board. And I'm so glad that we have our podcast now and our education committee, but we're really looking to be able to highlight all of the people that want to present or showcase or talk about something that they're a subject matter expert in. So we're really focusing on our digital growth in Echo, being able to have podcast episodes or videos that we put on our app or our website so that we can continue to engage. Through marketing, we're looking at our flight crew chronicles so we can continue to highlight best practices that are going on across the country as well as internationally. So being our 10-year anniversary, you guys should be on the lookout for some fun member engagement going on throughout the summer and as we lead up into the conference. We have early bird pricing right now for our conference through May 15th. So definitely take advantage of that. We're still offering the workshop pass. So we have, you get to pick and choose the workshops as they're available. And I know they fill up pretty quickly. I am just preparing for Run to the Chopper 5K. I think I ran it a little quicker 7 years ago than I will this year, but we'll have to see about that. Don't interview me after.
You're the first person we're coming to, Joe.
Someone live stream it. We'll do
Yes,
live stream.
absolutely.
Joe, there was a few. Was it? Correct me if I'm wrong. Over a couple hundred submissions for speakers for this year.
We did. We had over 130 submissions, I believe, for speakers this year. And we have 50 spots. So we're definitely looking to be able to work with those people that weren't able to get a spot at this conference through some different channels. So lots of work with our digital app and our website. Really excited to see the engagement both ways with our team and with our membership. So lots to look forward to this year.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of exciting stuff for you guys. And it reinvigorates me every time I hear like what's next on the horizon for Echo. This has been an organization that has really driven a lot of my passion within the industry. And, obviously this is, I think we will all agree, the best job in the world and absolutely love it. But, the involvement with Echo and with the members from Echo has really furthered my passion and my drive for everything within the industry. So I'm super excited to see where all of this is going. And I know that every single one of our listeners right now is begging to get involved with Echo or find out more. So can you guys tell us a little bit about how they can find out more about Echo itself and what the process would be like for getting involved?
Absolutely. So reach out to any of our team members. They might snag you up for their team. You
we
can
would
always
never do that.
You can always engage with us on social media. Go to our website, fill out a volunteer application. That will get routed to the team members that you're interested in being a part of. We're definitely looking to continue to have new faces in the organization. We love ideas. That's just a premise of Echo is try new things, consider ideas. We're one big team. We have a team of over 50 volunteers. Believe it or not, when we come to conference time, we're always looking for more. So
Always, yes.
We're always looking for more people to join Echo.
We got to man that booth. We gotta sell that merch.
That's right.
I have to bring an extra suitcase this year, I think.
Every t-shirt counts.
That's it.
It certainly does, but I think that kind of brings home, just the community aspect of things. You think about going to conferences and Echo providing that low cost education to be able to give back to the community. And then it really is the sponsorship and the partnerships that we make with those sponsors that really allow Echo to continue to provide that mission each and every year. And it's so important, I think, to have that connection with them. So certainly, shout out to all of our sponsors that make Echo possible year after year and really help to bring home such amazing conferences that we have out there.
It's so amazing to see each year all the support from all the sponsors and all the vendors and everybody that shows up. And again, it ties back into just that family home feeling. And then there's so much networking and that recognition to where come to the conference, you'll find something from somebody somewhere, a product, a service, something. You'll come across something that you're going to take back. And if anything, it's an idea, and at least you have a connection to start that process, and you can bring it back to your home agency. And again, it's something that Echo pushes, which is just for flight crews, by flight crews, and just committed to getting that practice nationwide and now worldwide, internationally. So we're making awesome strides, guys. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And I think, a big part of wanting to have you guys on for this podcast is, well, I think that maybe a lot of our listeners are familiar with Echo and what the mission of Echo is. I think it's hard to get more than just kind of the scratching the surface, if you will, of all of the things that Echo does and where the passion lies and what kind of change or influence or positive impact everybody within Echo wants to have within the industry. And so I'm really appreciative that you guys were willing to come on and talk with us and give us an overview of the organization and talk about, why you guys are so passionate about it and how you hope to help change things in the industry and really continue to make this even better than what it already is. Because like I said, I think this is already the best job in the world. I love what I do every single day. And you guys certainly help to continue that passion by making sure that Echo is involved in all of these amazing projects along the way. So thank you guys for coming and sharing your thoughts and insights and giving us a little bit of a history lesson and taking us into the future of what's on the horizon for Echo.
Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you.
So if anybody does want to reach out, that website for Echo would be echoflightcrew.org. And certainly are able to get in touch with us there if you guys have any other questions. This has been a phenomenal discussion. So thank you, Jody. Thank you, Joe. We're really happy to have you guys on. It's been an amazing discussion. Also wanted to show a huge shout out to our guests and thank them for their time and for continued support of the Vertical Helicast platform and the Valor Flight Crew podcast. It's been another great episode, and we'll talk to you on the next one.
See you in Louisville.
See you at the 5K.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Valor Flight Crew podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more stories that promote the personnel and equipment behind the missions in public safety aviation. Lastly, stand by for a message from our sponsors.
Thanks to our sponsor, Airbus. Airbus provides the most efficient helicopter solutions to its customers who serve, protect, and save lives and safely carry passengers in demanding environments. Its civil and military helicopters are flying all over the world, making missions possible. Visit airbus.com for more information. Thank you to our sponsor, Technisonic Communications. Technisonic Communications is a proud provider of the critical airborne communications equipment utilized every day on every mission. Law enforcement, EMS, forestry, federal and military operators all trust their communications to Technisonic. Visit TIL.ca to learn how Technisonic can support your mission communications.
Thank you to our sponsor, Spectrum AeroMed. Spectrum AeroMed is your trusted partner in air medical solutions. Experience safety and innovation with their customized interiors, designed for both rotor and fixed-wing aircraft. Elevate your patient care with Spectrum AeroMed. For more information, visit spectrum-aeromed.com.
That wraps up another episode of the Valor Flight Crew podcast. A huge thank you to Jody Gregory and Joe Zarek for joining us and sharing the powerful story behind Echo. Their passion for safety, education, and taking care of one another truly shines through. From the importance of mental health and peer support, to the exciting growth of programs like the Future Flight Crew and the planning of impactful conferences, it's clear Echo is more than an organization. It's a movement. If you're in the world of public safety aviation and looking to connect, learn, and grow, we highly encourage you to check out Echo and see how you can get involved. As always, thank you for tuning in. Your support means the world to us. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a review, and share this episode with your crews. And don't forget to tune in next week for more amazing stories that promote the personnel and life-saving equipment behind helicopter air ambulance services. Be safe, everyone.